I don't know what your walk-up music
Good
is.
evening, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Rochester Downtown Development Authority for Wednesday, April 16, 2025. Madam Recording Secretary, the roll, please.
Eric Diana.
Present.
Bob DiTomaso.
Here.
Tanya Karsten.
Here.
Roger Knapp. Tony LaPuma.
Here.
Bob Bloomingdale. Paul Haig.
Here.
Lisa Germain Williams.
Here.
Mayor Salvia.
Here.
Chairman Giovanelli.
Here.
Marilyn Trent.
Here.
Don Sinkowitz.
Here.
Christy Trevorrow.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for giving your time, energy, effort, and life force to your community this evening. We appreciate it. First item on the agenda is the approval of meeting minutes. We have 2 meetings to approve minutes for. I feel like I've got sort of an echo.
Echo.
Here. Let's go up higher, maybe. I'll go this way. I don't know. A regular meeting minutes from March 19, 2025, and then the special meeting from April 2, 2025. Any questions with respect to that or a motion in our future?
Motion to approve?
Motion by DiTomaso, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by LaPuma, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Audience comments. Hi, Nick. How are you?
Nick.
Excellent. We're so grateful that there's at least, that you care enough to spend time with us every meeting, so this is great.
Spends 37% of his time with us.
This is true. We're trying to get our money's worth.
Someone was paying attention.
See, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Our chamber liaison is on it tonight, so just not getting nothing past him. It's fantastic. Liaison reports, City Council, Honorable Marilyn Trent, good evening.
Hi, good to see everybody again. I just felt like I saw you guys the other day.
I think we did.
About 3 of
Yeah,
you,
it's
right?
been-
4, actually.
2 whole days.
So getting that out of the way, we've had 2 meetings, 2 city council meetings that I'm going to give updates on. One was March 24th, and there was a consent agenda that, I'll just name a few of these little events that come up in case you're interested. The St. Lutheran family, St. John Lutheran Family Praise and Picnic is going to be in the park again. All these events are on the calendar at the rochestermi.org. And there's a Makers Market event that we approved as well, and the OPC 5K run. So guys start working out and getting ready for that, Meals on Wheels. And if you don't want to do it, just give them money. There was approval of the Elizabeth Park grant for the DNR, the MNRTF grant application was approved to go on and get some nice equipment finally in Elizabeth Park. Needs some love. And we had a public hearing regarding the special assessment for the PSD. We had consideration for the ordinance amendment for feeding of animals. The first reading and introduction is going on to a second reading and probably approval. Consideration of the amendment to the Chapter 20 Blight Ordinance. First reading and introduction was sent back to committee to review with some input. And then we had the second addendum of the Dinosaur Hill Nature Preserve consideration for the community garden service agreement was approved, and it's already sold out. And that was pretty much it. And we had another meeting. I think you guys, is fresh on some of you guys' minds.
I feel like I just left.
You might even be able to do it. 2 of you will, 3, actually. 4 of you could do this report. So we had 2 presentations, one by Pat McKay from the Rochester Hills Museum, and he was there and telling us all the wonderful things that the Rochester Hills Museum and his team do, and he praised Christy for all of her requests, and then he does. So then I did a presentation on the mini forest, and it was well received, I believe. There was 2 invitations, 2 events that are coming up with that. On April 22nd at 10 a.m., the community garden, the mini forest is going to be behind the community garden. There will be a mother tree planting. And then on the 3rd, there will be a ribbon cutting May 3rd at 2 p.m. So everyone's invited. I'm going to have a little invitation I'll send out to everyone. So then we had our consent agenda approval, and here's some of the events. The Art and Apples Festival is coming up again. I know, he starts early. The Detroit Pots 5K run, the Music in the Park for Lion Shelter was approved, the Bark and Brew 5K event. So there's a lot of 5Ks people can get ready to run and stay in shape for. And then there's another Music in the Park, which is the Kiwanis Club, which is the original one. So obviously there is a name issue, and the one
They-
for the Lions Park.
They have a new name.
They have a
They're-
new name.
Yep.
They already have a new name?
There's some emails going around where they're deciding, but it will be a
Yeah,
different name.
There's going to be a new name.
Yep.
So just saying that, you can't call everything the same. We all couldn't be all the same names. It would be so confusing. So then we have approval of a Cinco de Mayo event. And then we had a public hearing for the consideration of our capital improvement bond for 2.610,000. And that was approved, wasn't it? Or
Yep.
It was approved, yes. So we're moving on. We're going to get a skate park and improvements to the community house and other things. Yes, yay. The resolution for the principal shopping district special assessment was approved. And then we had a robust discussion about the downtown, the DDA budget and the principal shopping budget. And then on that one, there was a motion to approve the 50/50 for the cross-charge. So that is not, it's not been, the full budget hasn't been approved, but it was pushed back to the team of the PSD to take a look at what they can, their budget can now have real numbers to use, accurate approved numbers. So, yeah, I think that was resolved well. And then the final thing was that the Champion Development Group, who are doing the build-out at Solaronic site on 704 Woodward, gave us the new update on the environmental conditions, and there was a lot more pollution than they thought, which was too bad, but they're going to work with getting some of the brownfield dollars that you need to clean that up. So the good news is it will be clean, as they can get it.
Part of our legacy, so we shall deal with it.
There's a lot of
like
brownfields
everything
around
else.
here, a lot
Yes.
of, yes, industrial sites. That's it.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for that update. We'll get at the budget stuff later, and I'll provide some feedback on.
Yeah, I thought you would.
Yeah, so there's no sense
There's
in
no sense
doubling
in
up
me
on it, but.
saying any more than I said.
No, there's not a ton more to add, but there's probably a little bit more color. But any questions for our city council liaison? Seeing none, we shall march forward. Chamber of Commerce, Mr. DiTomaso.
Yes, so the Chamber is opening up applications for participation in the 2025 Memorial Day Parade. If you're interested in being in the parade, reach out to Maggie at the Chamber, and she will help you out. And that's all we have.
Fantastic. Thank you for that report. Any questions for our Chamber liaison? Seeing none, marching forward. Historical Commission, Mr. Sienkiewicz, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, we have a new member of the Historical Commission. I believe many of you know Patricia Kane. She'll be joining, she's joined us last month, and she'll be joining us every month from going forward, hopefully. The Founder's Day celebration at the Rochester Museum went very, very well. The entertainment provided by the bagpipe musician, Yolanda, was very pleasing, along with the well-organized and great performance by the Shannon Irish Dancers. They did a great job. Provided a lot of entertainment in a very short period of time, well-organized and so forth. And the presentation by Carol Egbo was nothing short of fantastic. It was very informative. For those that haven't heard her, she's a great presenter, moves things along very, very well. And she was accompanied by Dr. Stamp, who also added some additional information to the conversation. So overall, along with the refreshments and everything, it was a very enjoyable afternoon at the museum. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to add, it was a great deal. The whole day was great. So,
Fantastic. Thank you for that update. We appreciate it. Principal Shopping District, Mr. Hague.
okay, well, first of all, I'm just going to say the In-Town magazine is out, and it's gone to most of the houses. I don't know, have you got one?
I just received it today.
I got mine.
Yes.
Okay,
I saw it before it went out.
okay, I know you.
I know people.
Yeah, I figured you better. It's okay. The 15th anniversary of Deck Art is all sold out.
Holy moly.
And guess how many we have?
500?
No, only 425. That's the limit.
Oh, I see.
So we have 425
Wow.
Deck Arts, okay?
Cool. That's great.
The farmer's market is moving, I'm gonna keep saying this so people don't walk down to the old farmer's market. It's moving to the east parking deck. It's similar to, size of Lot 7, and it's, East and East University, okay? East Street and East University. And, that, I want everybody to realize that they are setting up tents, everything's gonna be great. The farmer's market's gonna be just as good as it's always been. It's just gonna be moving so they can keep going on the Graham project. Let's see, I think that's about it, except we have a big event schedule, which I could go ahead and elaborate a lot on. But I think that that's easily, and that's up on the website, the city website. All right, that's it.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for that update. Any other questions for our Principal Shopping District Liaison? Our vice chairman had to run. There was a minor electrical crisis going on at the county, so he's got to deal with the cash register, so he'll be back. He's like, I gotta go. Dude, I'll be back in 10. I'm like, dude,
He's close.
got to take care of the counties first. That's all that matters. I don't really care, honestly, about anything else. Preserve, that is like, we need to get like a historical plaque put on that thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if Tony ever shared the story when there was a fire there, that the fire department was trying to fight it, and people were still waiting in line to
Oh,
get
dear.
their food. It was a fryer, it was a fryer, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
People wouldn't get out of line because they didn't want to.
Yeah. Well, I think the guys are trying to shut her down, and the register is screwed up, and he's like, yeah, whatever. It's the pride, it's the thing that happens when you own stuff, so.
And I can't believe the lines that I see outside. That is
It's a testament to sort of the family and just the
It's
fact
definitely a
that,
testament.
best tacos anywhere, by the way, FYI.
true. Tacos. Yep.
Anyway, yeah, 2 with everything, taco, fries, and a root beer. That's my go-to, so. Anyway, with that, moving forward, general business items, DDA presentation and market. I'll kind of do them both at once. So as our council liaison alluded to, we had our big night in front of council, which is, always look forward to. It's right up there with root canal, and no, I'm kidding. It was, it was fine.
Just remember, I've said.
Yeah, I know,
I'm
it's
putting it in my
fine.
Rolodex,
It's fine,
man.
everything's
Take
fine.
care.
I always go back to the dumpster fire, it's fine, guy sitting back
Just
there.
pile on.
Yeah.
I'll remember next time.
It's fine, it went great. Actually, I thought it went really well, so,
You're not complaining, right?
no, I would
Okay,
never
well
do
then,
such a thing.
I will take that.
So,
As a
we presented the budget, which aside from the handful, it's essentially the same numbers that we talked about here. If you guys remember at special meeting that we had, we were
April
unclear
2nd.
at the time as to what the council motion was with respect to the 0-0, whether it included a restriction on the adjustment of cross-charge or not. So we had like sort of Plan A and Plan B in there. And then we really didn't know because the council hadn't approved their minutes yet, so it was kind of a chicken or the egg sort of thing. So I went before council, actually fully prepared to go either way. It didn't much matter because now they have to say yes, right? So presented the numbers and sort of talked about the philosophy of the movement of Big Bright and the increase or the changes in the cross-charge. So if you guys recall from our special meeting, originally, the cross-charge was 23% of the promotion, or 23% of Christie was PSD, and then the rest DDA. And then the vice versa was 29% of the promotion staff was cross-charged to the DDA, and then the rest paid for by the PSD. So there was a lot of sort of back and forth, and really under the city's policy with respect to the cross charges, you're supposed to review it every year and make sure it makes sense. You want to make sure it properly reflects the usage of the staff time, right? So we, as Bob had alluded to, we pay for 37% of the city manager, for example, just charged back to the DDA because that's, when you do the math and look at the amount of time that's spent between, stuff in the district and plus business promotion and everything else that Nick does for us, it's a no-brainer, right? So we're like, yep, makes perfect sense. But as we talked about with respect to promo, we're pulling back farmer's market because of the Graham. And that's going to necessarily increase the workload on the DDA side for the promotion staff. So it made sense to kind of do it. So we went from 29 to 50%, 50-50 was what we had talked about at our special meeting. And as I showed you guys during our presentation of special, the net difference is 20 grand to our budget, which it's 20 grand. I'm not going to say it's nothing, but in an almost $3 million budget, it's not, not huge. But anyway, so we had a robust debate, council, and rightly so. I mean, their job is to double check and make sure that we're being, responsible and spending the taxpayer money wisely. So we walked through, all of the budget and made sure that, every single person was aligned as to, where the money comes from. I put together, and I don't know if it's here or not, but oh, do you? Excellent. Actually, let me show you. I put together a little doohickey. I need my glasses so I can see because I'm old. Just the Excel sheet's all I need.
Oh, the Excel sheet.
Yeah.
That I may not have.
So Christie, this presentation that you
Actually,
took us
this one
through, will that be added to the city council packet? Because
Which one?
this presentation that you took us through Monday night with all of your stats and facts in there?
It can be.
Yes, if we could add that to the
Yeah.
council packet in the excitement of the evening, I forgot to ask for that.
So,
And I think all of the DDA should also have a copy of this. This had you got some really great information, great facts in there that were really important.
and I'm sorry, we didn't, typical, so Christy and the girls were gone for the thing last week, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with my day job, but it's tax season, and I was a little bit busy. But we got through it. Oh, good, okay. I know, she saves everything,
I'm like
she
a little
saves
pack
everything.
rat.
All right, so this is the presentation that Christy put together for us. We did this before council. It's not very long, but we used, so when Christy and I were talking about how we were going to present to council, if you guys recall, we had a conversation about how Birmingham and how their PSD does and all the ton of information they've got on their PSD website. I was like, man, there's a lot of really great stuff there. Because I remember Tanya saying, well, what does the DDA do, or how do we communicate that? I'm like, well, geez, it's all right there. We just got to put it in a spot. So anyway, we kind of went down that approach. So what I did is we had a full house, so I took the opportunity to do a level set with respect to the audience and the folks at home as to what the DDA is. So just for anybody that doesn't know, on May 10th, 1982, the City Council adopted Ordinance 1982-3, which formed the DDA, and it's out of State Public Act 197, which allows for tax increment financing. And if you look at, all these docs are on our website, you just got to click through them, and they all exist. And in fact, this is where I got it from. So in the ordinance, the City Council created the DDA to do these things, to correct and prevent deterioration in the business district, to encourage historic preservation, to authorize the acquisition and disposal of interest in real property, to authorize the creation and implementation of a development plan of the district. If you guys remember, we had to actually amend our development plan to add the Graham to it when we did this, I guess, last year, or to clarify, to assign that specific project. Promote economic growth of the district, obviously. Create a board, which all of you have thankfully given your time, energy, effort, and life force to this committee to do. Authorize the levy and collection of taxes, and to authorize issuance of bonds and other evidences of indebtedness. And then also to authorize the use of tax increment financing. It was interesting, right before we presented, the city's bond council was before us, and they approved $2.7 million in bonds to finance community house, and then
The trail and the skate
trail, and there's various projects, right? And, the $2.7 million, and the mayor opened up the public hearing, and literally nobody got up to speak to it. She closed it like 2 seconds later because no one was here. It's like, all right, we spent all this money, and no one has to ask, but anyway, so we can do bonds too, we just don't. Although we did borrow $1 million for this project, so. The DDA boards, committees, and volunteers includes members from the DDA district representing their interests as taxpayers. So the board of directors, you guys as business owners, property owners, residents, and liaison members, as we know. This is, again, we're communicating this to people that are not on the DDA, so you guys know this, but what the staff consists of, how we're funded, and then the way the funding works is that it's property taxes that would be collected and paid to the general fund anyway, just a portion of them are captured and reinvested within the district. And as we know, we've been about 70, 30, 65, 35 on capital versus operations. And then our mission statement, which we agonized over several years ago. This is nothing more fun than trying to create a mission statement, but to maximize the economic development potential of downtown Rochester for the benefit of the community by maintaining an ongoing comprehensive downtown management program with broad-based community involvement, seeking reuse of historic and architecturally significant buildings whenever possible, respecting the natural environment, and preserving the downtown's overall unique historic character.
You have that tattooed on you somewhere, right?
I do, yes.
Okay.
It's on the back of one of my thighs. And then we went through the board of directors. So the way I wanted to present this is that, as we just saw a second ago, you're either a resident, a property owner, or a business owner. So Tony doesn't have BO, but he is so I'm a resident. That's the only thing that qualifies me to be on. We have, what, 2 resident seats, 3 resident seats?
We can have no more than 5.
No more than 5, okay.
Yes, so, and
and-
some people are serving as, like, Paul's a business owner.
Sure, yeah, we'll
But
get to
he's
Paul in a
still a
second.
resident.
Yes, he checks all the boxes, so we're good.
Yes.
So I'm just a resident member. Tony is a property owner and a business owner. Tanya is a business owner. Bob Bloomingdale is a property owner. Was a business owner, but he's
Nope, just a property owner.
no,
now.
just property owner now. Eric
trying to
is-
retire.
He's trying to retire, we won't let him. Eric's resident. Bob DiTomaso is also a full box checker at a property owner, business owner, and resident. Lisa Giovanni Williams, resident. Paul Haig, all 3 boxes. Roger Knapp as well. Nancy Salvia, our lovely mayor, who had a birthday yesterday, 29. So happy birthday
Tax
again.
day.
I know, right? Resident, plus she's ex officio, so because of her office, she's a member of the board as well. And then Don Sikowitz and Marilyn Trent is a business owner in the district, plus a resident. So that gives you an idea of who, I wanted everybody to sort of acknowledge who is the DDA, because it's you guys, right? And then from a what is the DDA, Christie walked us through the Main Street program, which I'm just gonna kind of fly through because you guys know 4-point and everything and how that works. But again, we were trying to explain to non-DDA folks, what is it that these people do, right? And then what is it, Christie walked us through the Gamma Award and how that all worked out, and what Great American Main Street means to us and our guiding principles, which was super important. And the fact that of all of the, 2,000 eligible, only 115 have ever been named a Great American Main Street. And then I walked through key dates in history. I wanted to kind of go through this to kind of show folks, what has happened since 1982 when we formed the DDA. In 1990, we amended the development plan. I think at that time it was adding the post office to it.
That one I'm not sure.
Yeah, there was.
Very well may have, that seems.
Yeah, so that was key.
There were several parcels that
Yeah,
changed.
yeah.
The library.
Not a lot, but several.
Yeah, and then in 1995, we expanded the district boundaries to add Water Street and Western Knitting Mill property. In 96, we expanded the district to add the area south of East Third, including First and Mill, down to the south end of the bridge. So that, encompass the downtown area. So with respect to the TIF, all of the properties in the district, except for those 2, the capture started from valuation in 1983 forward. And then for these properties, it started in 95 forward and 96 forward. And then in 2001, the council extended the TIF through December 31st, 2030, so that's our current shot clock. Assuming that, the TIF is not renewed by December 30th, 2030, the DDA will cease to exist, and all of the current stuff that we do will have to be figured out by somebody else. Just picked up by the city, pretty much. So we walked through the capital investments in 2024. We replaced 38 light poles, reconstruction of parking lot approach and catch basin. We painted the downtown electrical boxes, which is our ongoing graffiti issue, and then walked through some business development stuff. So 400 plus businesses in the district, 95% which are locally owned. 98% occupancy, and Christie gets these numbers from the county. So $2.8 million of private sector investment in 2024 in our district, which is fantastic. Everything under control, Mr. Vice Chairman?
It's done.
Excellent.
Working good, back in business.
All right, man.
No conies, like I was hoping you might like bring
Bring
a
a few
couple.
back.
Yeah, wait.
It was her birthday yesterday.
Yeah,
so-
right.
Happy birthday.
29.
I'll stop by after.
So new businesses, so we saw 10 new businesses last year, and then 4 expansions. And then Christie walked us through the promotions, and I use this term, but sort of the economic development engine that her and her staff does, along with Nick, in the work that's done in that regard. But we talked about the social media, and I'm not gonna do a huge deep dive in it, but this is how many, the effect, the efficacy of our social media program versus others, which you will see in a second. And then how many visitors, when you talk about dwell time, it took me a second to catch on, but dwell time is how long people hang around in the district after an event is going on, right? So we had 6 million plus visitors in the district in 2024, and they hung around on average for about 120 minutes, right? So that's not like they do a drive-through and kind of just keep on going. Whoever tells you that people drive through Big Bright and they skedaddle, the numbers don't prove that out.
We got more numbers for that coming.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah, look at the other
Do
one.
we happen to have a calculation for every 60 minutes a visitor is here, here's how much revenue per, like,
Oh, man, we'd love it.
Ooh, that's a good
Not-
number.
The challenge is because we don't have hotel tax or sales tax record or things like that, we would have to rely on the actual businesses reporting to us directly. So we don't have.
and they're probably a little leery of
I
government
would
getting into
suspect.
their,
I would
Yeah.
say that they probably are.
yeah, yeah.
So the
Especially
only
local
alternative,
government.
Could ChatGPT do this for us?
Yeah, right.
I
Like,
don't believe so. There's
Okay.
actually a company we're talking to right now that they have a platform that they can do it through Google impressions. That based on an ad, they can track through cell phone data if they actually showed up, and they can track in the store if they made a sale based on the ad.
Yeah.
Like they can track them all the way.
yeah, the cell phone data is actually pretty scary. That's how they found a lot of these protests, these organic protests around the country. Like 80% of them have been at like all over the country, so the same people with the same phones have been on
well,
these protests.
that's
all over the
also
country.
how
So you can
Batman
count
found
people
Joker in Dark Knight.
Yes,
You know,
100%.
like, but I was just wondering, like, if, it might be easier for budgeting in the future, especially for us,
Yeah.
if we knew, like,
For sure.
hey, if we have people coming here for 2 hours, we're making X, like, this is what we can sort of anticipate for the future, so, sorry to go on that diatribe.
Yeah,
just-
no, it makes perfect sense. Our problem is one of budget to do that, right? So I've never been to Disney before, but they've, well, Chrissy's been once or twice, but they got people walking around with iPads, right? And they're kind of like talk to you and they'll ask you stuff, and because they're collecting that data to try and figure out what's going on. So those kind of things are important. So yeah, for sure, it's gonna be great to find that stuff out. We're trying to find it more through technology than actual, having people out there with iPads in their hands. Hey, excuse me, mister, right? Events and promotion, there was 89 special event days last year, 209 promotional days. And then the generation of about $272,000 in an ad sponsorship and vendor revenue. So this is monies contributed in towards the effort paid for by private sector participants, right? So this is not tax dollars, this is monies that have been, that Christie and her team have been able to solicit to help put on the events that we do. So when we talk about the amount of spend that we do from tax dollars or the PSD assessment in the case of the PSD, it's just a fraction of the total budget, right? The lion's share of that is raised from outside funds. Big Bright Light Show impact stats. So
These are
again,
good ones.
1.4 million visitors, 120 minutes of dwell time, and then people visited 2.5 times? Yeah, just about
On
2.5
average.
times, so on average, people came back. It wasn't like a drive-by and go, it was, they come back, so at least once or twice. I know we were, probably once a week out in front of some bar, picture taken, so. And then.
This is the one.
I love this,
Come
that
on,
Christie,
come
so
This
she
is the
put.
one Nancy
Go.
wants.
Yeah, so,
Click.
right, so what Christie did is she put together what, in terms of visitors, all right, so what are our competitors doing?
This is great.
Yep.
So we had 1.4 million visitors during the holidays here in Rochester. Somerset had 206,900. The Village of Rochester Hills, 157,900. Great Lakes Crossing, 155,900, and the Mall at Partridge Creek, 100,000. So to give you an idea of scale and the amount of bodies we're bringing into this community, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, and this is not made-up stuff. This is data coming from
Oakland County.
Oakland County.
Through their Placer AI
Through their
program,
Placer
which is
AI
a
program.
national,
So is this
data
like
program.
during the hours the lights are on,
During the days that the lights are on.
the days?
Yep, so they can't track it from like 5 to 10, they can track day parts. So they can track the full day. So this is from Lanyap, starting at, midnight on Lanyap, all the way through the last day that the show was aglow.
I'm just shocked that Somerset doesn't get more people than that, but,
You have to find a place to park.
They do not.
yeah.
Well, and you have to keep in mind too, Big Bright is open till midnight. So we have extra
Yeah.
hours
Yeah, they close at
beyond
9,
what they
so
do.
that's probably part of it.
And like on holidays, of course, I'm down here every night during Big Bright, just come checking on everything. When I'm down here Christmas Eve, Christmas,
Big time.
there are people all over the place. You can't get into the mall on those days. So we have a natural advantage that way too. We're open 24 hours, especially Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Lights are on 24 hours,
Okay.
so.
I mean, this is only, again, this is just a comparison of,
Sure.
sort of just the shopping aspect of it, but
Yeah.
for, the broader picture, at least in my estimation, is we're trying to create, and we've been very successful, creating a demand for people to want to live, work, play in Rochester, right? That's why, this area's been so successful. So this is just one part of it, and we're bringing a lot of bodies in, and they're not just driving through and causing traffic and then getting out of Dodge. They're hanging out for, 2 hours, and they're coming back 2.5 times on average. So it's great stuff. Then I walked through the Graham. We talked about this before. I'll just roll into this update really quick because it's the next one on the agenda. So we've been through all these pictures. I don't need to go through this with you guys again. But the Planning Commission did approve our thing, subject to ZBA, which I just saw the email traffic. We're before them next month. This little section here of the awning we're encroaching on ourselves again, so hopefully the ZBA will see fit to give us a waiver. If not, we'll have to do a 80% awning or something. We'll figure something out. I have no idea. We'll make a removable section. But we're optimistic that that'll be fine. We walk council through this. We're still on schedule. I've seen email traffic. We're down to I dotting and T crossing in terms of paperwork and stuff. And we have a meeting this coming Tuesday, every other Tuesday. We're on course to I want to make sure that everybody's staying on task. But, excuse me, we're already out for budget. Or we're going out. I don't know if we are. We aren't going to have to call Sean.
By Friday, he said it'd be out on the street.
Yeah, so it's out, and so we're expecting a quick turnaround, 2 weeks. Get it back before the end of the month, hopefully by the next council meeting. If not, it'll be, the first council meeting in May. As soon as we get the numbers, everybody's gonna know. This is not gonna be, let's sit down and figure out in hand wring. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. But we'll have the real numbers by then and figure out what that looks like, and we'll incorporate that into our budget. And then I don't know if I put the project time, I did that, okay. So it's out for bids now, bids back end of April, award early May. The goal at present is groundbreaking shortly after Mother's Day, so May 12, 13, whatever that is. A substantial completion before Lanyap. So we're gonna have shovels and dirt, have a groundbreaking ceremony, that week at some point. And then the mayor will be hosting Mr. and Mrs. Claus at the Graham, opening up the new year. So it's gonna, or opening up Lanyap. So it's gonna be great. We're looking forward to it. All right, so this, hold on a second. So now.
If you go down into, yep,
All right.
and the D.
Gotcha, okay. All right, so then I put together, as I want to do, because I'm a dork.
Just keep accepting everything.
Oh dear, okay. Next, sorry.
Mark of the beast,
Don't-
just
Don't
accept it.
send.
Yeah,
Just,
There you go.
yeah.
Okay, so I put together the budget. This is the exact same one that you guys had looked at, but the one thing I did put together was this. I thought it was important to walk council and the people in the audience through where our funding comes from, right? So in 2024, this is our 2026 budget, funding by source. So our total budget is just under $2.9 million. Of that, 49% comes from the city of Rochester. So $1,417,000 comes from the city of Rochester through the property tax capture. So I believe about 20% of the total tax revenue collected goes to the general fund, and then 80% comes to us, and it's reinvested in the district. So if not for the TIF, stuff is still gonna go on in the downtown, right? So they're still gonna have to do all the capital that we do. It's just 49% of that is paid for through the general fund. And then our next largest, I'll just kind of scooch over here, it's a little bit easier. Our next largest contributor is the county. So again, this is all through the TIF capture. So less than half of our total revenue is coming from the actual property tax capture in the city of Rochester. 15% is coming from the county. 11% in this coming year is grants and awards. 6% from Oakland County Community College. 6% from fundraising and event activations. 4% from the Regional Transit Authority. That's the bus thing that passed a couple of years ago. Cross charges and bill back, so we were able to bill out for Christie's time and collect some of that back as revenue. 2% is a collection from the county parks, and then some interest income, and then from the OPC operating budget, just 1%. So when the TIF ends, you're gonna lose the county, the community college, the RTA, the county parks, and the OPC operating. So roughly, if you want to look at it this way, of our total budget, we talk about the 70-30 or 65-35 capital to operations, which would be sort of the promotions in the district and business growth. That is in effect paid for by others outside the community. So that, once the TIF is gone, that funding would end. So it's not 2030 yet, it's 2025, right? So we need to start thinking about it, but to the extent that council deems that the TIF, the work has been completed under the DDA, they're gonna have to find other ways to fund that. Now, how Birmingham has done that, they actually, their PSD is rough. It's very expensive, and they charge their merchants for garbage removal and all kinds of stuff under their PSD, so.
And parking.
And parking, yeah, for sure. So anyway, walk through that, and then in terms of the other stuff, the grant, yes, ma'am,
Prince money.
yes.
So on the interest, you're getting 50,000, so does that gonna decrease as you spend the spend down?
Well, that's why it was 100 last year.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
I didn't know it was.
Anthony.
I was just
Well,
saying.
then interest rates are going up, so I think there's
It's
probably
gonna
some.
fluctuate.
Yeah, and
It's not a
again,
big part of it, I just.
100%, yeah, no, and
Just a
again,
question.
yeah, no, it's 100% valid. Interest rates are going up, but we're starting to spend some money.
No, you did well
And
with
then,
it. Investment.
as you know, I popped in, or the budget subcommittee popped in 2.3 this year in this year's budget for the Graham, and then everything else thereafter. So I don't know, but if you add these all together, it's $3 million. So in looking at the capital project fund balance, we don't go negative at all. Assuming that this works out, we'll be plus 371 at the end of this year. We'll be plus 203 next year, and then 541, and we're still fulfilling all of our other capital requirements within the district. So we are servicing the debt on the mortgage, which will be paid off by 12/31/2030. So we'll have the Graham property free and clear by the end of the TIF. So all of those plans continue on. We're able to do everything else. The old saying about best laid plans, but in terms of sort of stuff that we need to be aware of, I'm not seeing anything unless something, crazy happens, which these days, who the hell knows? There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. But the other thing that we had talked about was the staff movements between the DA. So again, this schedule I went through with you guys at the special meeting. We had talked about moving Big Bright Light, and it was not just Big Bright Light, but it's also Big Bright Light plus Festival of Trees. All the holiday stuff was brought over because we're hosting it, and in theory, it's all gonna be over, can't speak to it, but I would imagine at some point it'll be at the Graham.
I would like to think so.
Which it gives rise to it, right? So, and then also Farmers Market moved back, and then that necessarily gave rise to the discussion of writing the PSD / DDA contribution for both Christie's time and for promo. So we increased the charge to the PSD from 23 to 33% for Christie, and then we took back money from 29 to 50% on the promotion staff, because they're gonna be doing much more work for the DDA now because of Farmers Market and because of the Festival of Trees and all the holiday type stuff. And then the other thing, this area in blue, we walked through, this would be the just in case, for whatever reason, the council approval of the 0-0 on the PSD's budget was specifically tied to not changing any cross charges. I just zeroed it all out. And then if you remember, it was a $20,000 difference. It was $20,553 in this current year and $24,000 next year. So anyway, we had robust discussion on this at council, and council did approve on the PSD side, for both really, the cross charge. So that's already been approved. So this right here has been approved by council, so it's been incorporated in our budget. So for my purposes, hold on one second, Madam Mayor. I think the only thing we got left is this. So, Madam Mayor.
So I just wanted to say a couple comments regarding the budgeting process. And I know I wasn't at the special meeting, but I promise you I've had like 1,042 conversations on this. So I've been on the Zooms, as some of you know, talking about the budget process. So one of the things I really tried to highlight at Monday's meeting is that this is a very complicated part of the budget process because there are 3 boards. There's this board, there's the PSD board, and there's the city council board. So it's very complicated because there's that intersection. And really, I really wanted to make sure we were respecting all 3 of those boards, because you all are here, you're all working and volunteering and doing your very best for the downtown, as is the PSD, as is the council. So wanted to make sure that we're trying to respect one another. I think in the future, we need to do a better job of communicating earlier. The discussion was had that this cross-charge conversation, and I think part of the challenge on communication is everyone has a different understanding of numbers and accounting, and so trying to communicate that is a challenge. So we're going to work on the cross-charge process earlier. What we're talking about for the DDA and PSD is the same process we use on the general fund in the budget, and we kind of had a little more robust discussion on that this year as well. So again, it needs to be earlier so that we know what numbers we're looking at. And then the last thing I'll say is, this was approved. I think what the council really wanted to see from a DDA perspective is they wanted to see the bids back before they said, yep, the budget looks great for DDA, but they kind of just want to see the bids back, right? And since it fits in our timeline, I think we all said that's fair. Regarding the PSD, which obviously is not this board, what we agreed to was that 36,000, and then they come back and tell council what changes are being made. So I'm really happy that we're funding our largest capital project ever in the DDA. We're still funding parking. We're still doing the roads. I'm really excited that the Graham and the Big Bright Light Show are in the DDA. That, to me, that's where they belong. And the cross charges are just logical. So I just really wanted to share my thoughts on that with the board.
And thank you for that. It's a robust discussion, and to the mayor's point, and everybody's got a different understanding of numbers or their perception of the numbers, right? And it's easy for me, I've been doing this for 36 years, right? So, and this stuff I always try and catch myself and make sure that I've made it so it's easily understandable, but sometimes it just, and also the communication part, and the mayor's spot on, so getting this done earlier and getting out in front of it earlier, that will definitely be working on that in the future. So, and it's a much bigger part. If you saw the entire list of the, I don't think I got it here, of the cross charges, that every single person, because we got budgets all throughout the city that are paying for things that we're able to charge labor to legitimately, and they need to be allocated every year. It's a reasonable basis for the charge. So, yeah, it was, these are never great conversations to have because it's the expenditure of public tax dollars. In this case, 49% of it, or actually with respect to the county and everybody else, a little bit more than that, but, it's important, right? So I was hopeful that we were able to convey to the council that, we're just not up here spending money willy-nilly, right? Every single thing, we are being very diligent on making sure there's high return on investment on the stuff that we do. And then to the extent that we have to make tough decisions, we're not afraid to make those tough decisions. With respect to the cross-charge, it's legitimately necessary because of the work that's being transitioned from PSD to the DDA. Now, some others viewed that as something different, and I can't help that, but it wasn't. It just sort of, the timing was what it was, right? So, anyway, so the good news is that council did approve this here, so we're in good shape. And to the mayor's point, the only thing we got left is this bad boy right here. So we will not know on that one for a few more weeks. Fingers crossed. At the end of the day, I think it'll end up probably being stuff between the fiscal years. But for me, end in end is we're still positive in both years. And this is with us completely still transferring the 325 to parking and the other stuff in the streets and everything else that we do. All of our other stuff has been accounted for. So, until we won't know until we know. It's like, stay tuned, news at 11. Yes, ma'am.
Look, when you're done.
Oh, no, please, go ahead.
Well, just from my perspective and going through this many years, I don't know, long time,
Yeah.
that I felt like that you and Christy both tried really hard to hear what the confusion was, like you just said, that and I'd done it too, like, wow, it's just like falling off a log for me, like, why don't you get it? But that's not how you approached it, it was very respectful, and I appreciate all the extra effort that both of you put in, and Christy did an excellent job without a PowerPoint presentation to go down and tell what she was very authentic, and she said what she really felt, and it was very well done. And that really, she did a great job.
Good, thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah.
It did. It
Yeah.
meant a lot to my sense of many of us on the council to hear directly from her, to understand, because
Sure.
many of us were confused.
Yeah, and I know, I was on council for 12 years, and I know that this is the only thing you talk about, right? There's all this other
Yes,
stuff that's
right,
going on
right.
that you just can't, plus, oh, by the way, we all have regular lives, right?
Well, it was
So you're
just-
trying to sort of keep track of all that, and it's very hard.
It was different, it had a different feel, like, look, we really need to all get on the same page.
Yeah.
We seem to have turned a corner.
Yeah, I
felt
think
like
so.
we
We
did.
work, as you know, we
Yeah.
work very hard to get our relationship with the three-legged stool from Mark Albrecht's,
Yeah.
stuff back in the day, to make sure that we're all equal partners in this, right?
Yeah.
So, and we're not up here for our health, we're up
We
here
know
because we
that.
love our
We
community,
know.
you
But
guys.
Look in Liz' perspective.
100%, but that means a lot, so thank you for that. It was, walking into the lion's den is always,
It's not easy,
Yeah,
like you
no.
said, it's not easy.
It was way more fun when I was on that side of the dais than it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
on this one.
well, it still
Lion?
isn't easy
Right.
to have to see you at
What did I
different
miss?
things
I'm
the
not
way that
Aries, I'm
has
a
to be
ram.
said sometimes.
And it's fine.
But
This
we
is,
have to-
but this is the way the
We're
government
not
works for a
here
purpose, right?
Having
So,
a beer at the bar.
right, 100%. Thank you for that. Yes, Bob?
So the zoning board in May, that doesn't really stop us from starting the project, right? That's just the awning.
Yeah, we're bidding it as is, and then to the extent ZBA, and Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, if they say no, then we'll just figure something else with a front awning, right?
Okay, but we
Yeah.
can break ground and
Oh, yeah.
get rolling, okay.
Hammer
I
is
was
down.
wondering that too.
So really, that's about it. Like I said, so we're in good shape. The only thing we're waiting for is those numbers when they come back. Fingers crossed that, it'll be certainly in time for our next meeting in May, but as soon as we get them back, I will notify you guys. Oh, well, everybody's gonna know. It's not.
So you're going to send them out to the full board?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
it's just, I'll do one of my lovely memos and I'll kind of walk you guys through it, but, you're just gonna get what I get, right? And as soon as I get it. So this
Good.
is, there's no, transparency is always something that we've always strived for here, right? So we want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Even, bad news or good news is gonna be fine. We're not expecting it, but, like I said, stranger things have happened. But anyway, so that was that's my update from that. And then on the.
Christie, Main Street.
What else do we have? So and then the Graham, I talked to you about the calendar. So, yeah, so that's it. Any questions for that dog and pony show? We good? All right, moving forward. Madam Director.
Hi. I think I just closed this. Let me go back. So, as you all know, we were in Philadelphia this last week, and it was a great conference. It was myself, Jenna Taylor, and then from the Promotions Committee and Love Local Art Committee, Sean Hayes, who's the director at Paint Creek Center for the Arts, was able to join us as well. So that was great. Especially since, as you'll see in my presentation, art was kind of a big thing for us when we were there. So this is just very brief, very photo heavy. Here it is. So I grouped everything as we kind of sat down and put together our notes. I didn't bring the ladies with me just because I don't think that we came back with a big aha for their end of, there's a new event we want to do, or new promotion. I think everything was a little bit more philosophical, dialing in on some things that we've been working on, things that we're already doing, and things we'd like to do. So the three categories I'm going to talk about tonight, the market, obviously, art, and storytelling. So it just worked out beautifully that our hotel was literally 100 feet from the Reading Terminal Market, which started in 1879. It's one of the oldest operating markets in the country. So we were there pretty much every day. Art, which is all over Philadelphia, and then storytelling was a big theme that we kept hearing throughout the conference. So I'm just going to hit the highlights on those three things. So first, for the Terminal Market, we basically lived there. We were there every day. So it is a year-round market, but it's different. It's sort of a hybrid of a food hall as well as a farmer's market. The farmer's market, literally this corner, I stood as far back as I could to get that photo. They don't have a lot of the fresh produce. They do have meat. They have a cheese counter, all those kinds of things, but everything was much more prepared foods. They have 75 vendors occupying the space, permanent spaces, they're not pop-up. And they had everything from, the 4th Street Cookie Company to they had Caribbean, they had chicken and waffles, they had cheesesteak, of course. They had seafood, Pennsylvania Dutch donuts. We stopped there. They had, and you would have loved this, Ben, it was all ribs and roasted meats, but Amish.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, it was very interesting, and they had a kitchen in the back, big gathering area, everybody could sit, all that kind of stuff. So we spent a lot of time over there and kind of learning from some of the things that they have. They were packed all the time, and you could see it was people, we just sort of observed, like, people just kind of living their lives, and why are they there? Some people were there picking up, somebody's birthday cake. People were there because they were working and coming in to bite. Others like us that had our little lanyards on, that we were there for the conference, and we were like, ooh, market. That kind of stuff. It was really fascinating just to sit and kind of watch life go by at the market. Two of the things that we really liked there, the first one, that little Smile and Say cheese. So, of course, within the market space, we are going, within the ground, we're going to have signage, but we don't want it to be fussy and all over the place and look kind of cheap. They're putting up our plastic A-frame signs. So this one, I actually got on the back of it and got the manufacturer, and it just plugs in, and it's a changeable digital screen. And it has where you just put in a flash drive. So we can just design it like we design all of our stuff, and then just plug her in. I already looked it up, it's like $21.99 coming to a market near you. But anyway, so, but it was really interesting because it had a lot of great information on it, the logos, and it didn't have a bunch of signs everywhere all over, because we want to maximize that space for vendors. The other thing, the pig, that's Filbert. And I don't know if you can tell from the photo very well, but that glass case he is sitting on is filled with coins and bills. And what they do is they have different nonprofits that I couldn't tell if it was monthly or quarterly, that they change where the donations go to. So it was something that, an opportunity for fundraising there. And I know in the past when we had gone to this market, because we were in Philadelphia, 16 years ago, same place, same conference, same hotel, so I knew exactly where I was gonna spend my time, was at the Terminal Market. It was going toward the market. I think they've become self-sustaining since then, and they don't need that, and so they're engaging with other local things. But I will say all the charities that I found on the list when I scanned the QR code were food-based and food-related, which makes a lot of sense. So we spent a lot of time at the market. Getting into photo spots, this is one thing that we've talked about quite a bit. We don't I think we're missing this. I hate going to towns and saying, God, I wish we had X, because I feel like we should have everything here. And while I think people do a good job of finding things that, like, oh, I'll have my photo behind this, or the light show or whatever, we don't necessarily have those iconic things that everybody's like, oh, my senior pictures, I have to have it by the love sign, I have to go by the Rocky statue, I have to do whatever. I'm not suggesting a love sign nor a Rocky statue, but something that is us. I think that as we continue down this placemaking road, we're talking about reimagining some of our pocket parks, the Graham itself, and the market lot. I think we need to start thinking about maybe a permanent photo spot of something that is Rochester and iconic to us. Because you could even see, like on the shadow, they actually had stanchions set up because everybody comes. The love wasn't always there, it was on the ground. But they knew people wanted it, so they actually raised it up so people could come get their photos. And there were a gentleman working in the park that they saw us trying to do a selfie. We had made Sean do it because he was tall, but we still couldn't get the whole love sign in. He's like, no, I got you. We have fabulous shots. He was just taking photos of everybody. So, but it's really iconic for people to do that. And then, of course, there are 2 Rocky statues. Fun fact. This is the original statue that was on the steps, and then they took it down because too many people were coming to the museum just to get photos and kind of blocking the entrance. So they put it off to the side. But then people complained that there's no Rocky statue at the top of the Rocky steps. So there's a second Rocky statue, which I also have photos of. We also had a great video of Jenna running up while we were playing the Rocky theme.
Oh, dear.
None of us ran. Jenna ran up the steps. She's our little student. She's our little athlete. So we thought that was fun. Art was a big thing. So I don't know if anyone knows this, but Mural Arts Philadelphia is the nation's largest mural program. It's an incredible program. Because I scanned this and then I started checking into them because I kept seeing that little mural art sign, that little squiggle, which is their M, on all kinds of murals all over town. This one happened to be in Fishtown, which was a pretty cool district that we went to. But they have been going on for years. They have evolved that they have mural projects, then they have gone into education, which I don't know if we necessarily need to go there, but possibly partnering with Paint Creek, that we have educational opportunities. They have a lot of things where they're connecting local artists. All of their downtown murals are all Philadelphia or Pennsylvania artists. They don't bring in people from out of state or anything like that. They are really trying to incent local art, which was interesting. They even do tours of all the murals because there are so darn many of them, and they're paid tours and they sell gift certificates so you can gift somebody an art tour. It's kind of interesting. So we were kind of checking a lot of this stuff out, but after I kept seeing the squiggle, I'm like, what is this? And I was able to finally get close enough. There were a few weeds on it, but I got it. Yes, so more art. We also loved found art. I know that Tony commented on my Facebook page when he saw one of the ants. He's like, what am I looking at here? I am not suggesting putting ants on buildings, but I thought it was interesting. It was found art, just as your art you encountered that was surprising and interesting. You know, the pizzeria that he actually painted the whole place to look like, you know, a pizza oven. I'm not, again, not suggesting these things. The top of the trash can, that's in Fishtown as well. I don't know that really necessarily makes sense here, but it was just the idea that we turned a corner and we were like, oh, and there were so many opportunities where we turned a corner and we're like, what is that? So I'm not saying any of us do this, but I think it's interesting when we're talking about art with the Love Local Art Committee that we aren't so stuck on, oh, there's a blank wall, let's go put art on it. There's a lot of other ways to incorporate art into what we're doing, and these were just some kind of fun examples.
The Z Garage down in Detroit has those people climbing the outside of it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Z Garage is really cool too. So there's a lot of other things that don't necessarily involve painting, and those were 3-dimensional ants that were on that with the zipper and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of fun. There's other cities I've seen that have had the vertical art like that, so it's interesting. So that was some of the things that we looked at. So storytelling. So they talked me into going on a ghost tour. I was not excited for the ghost tour because I just don't like that creepy kind of stuff. But
neither.
I'm
It wasn't Patrick Swayze?
no, it was not like that.
Oh, okay.
Nope. If that was what it was going to be, yeah.
I was gonna
Let's
say,
get it.
you're like, that might have been like right
Yeah.
up your alley, friend. Like,
Yep, but
okay.
that is not what I was offered.
All right.
I was offered this. So it was in the whole historic area, so Independence Hall, all the buildings surrounding that, Liberty Bell, which is inside now. It used to be outside for the longest time until some guy came along and pulled out a sledgehammer out of his backpack and started hitting it. And hit it 4 times before they took him down, and they asked him why, and he said because his voices were telling him to release the spirits of the bell. Super. So it's inside now. So when we were going by at night, it was already closed, so we were able to get this exterior picture. The one on the right, that is actually the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier Revolutionary era. As we were standing in the park, they were happy to let us know that we were actually standing in a potter's field and there were bodies all around us. So super, also great. But what was interesting about this storytelling is that they were not telling the story of Alexander Hamilton, Ben Franklin. They were telling little known stories. Things that, anybody could look up online. They could see some of these other stories. These were different. They're talking about some of the other ghosts that were around and things like that. And one of the things that they told us is that there was a ghost named Leah that people would encounter around. I'm just getting chills thinking about her. I had nightmares about her. It was horrible. But that she was around. But also they said that when their guests took pictures, and keep in mind, it was about 40 degrees Wind was bearing down on us. This was 2 hours outside, not in a circle, I'd also like to mention. Because I kept looking, I'm like, we seem kind of far. Not in a circle, all that. We were all shivering, but they're like, yeah, you know, when a lot of people take the pictures, if you see Leah, horrible, but also they said look in the grass and by the flagpoles, they look like little flares coming out of the ground. And we're all like, oh, okay, sure. So we all take photos and we're looking at our photos and we're like, oh yeah, I didn't see anything. So I went back and I looked. When I got back and I blew it up. Right?
Oh, dear.
So I don't know what that was. It wasn't by any lights. It was by these flagpoles, beats the crap out of me, but it was terrifying. But it was interesting because even though ghosts aren't my thing, it was super engaging. This was a Tuesday night. There were 30 of us shivering. And it wasn't just us, it was locals too. And they do these, she said this was a slow night for them. But people coming and enjoying this and hearing these different stories, it was fascinating. We had already been through the tours of Independence Hall and all the other things, but this gave us a whole different level and really dialed in with the stories. It wasn't history, it was story and connecting people with the stories and everything like that, which became one of our big takeaways, not the ghost. One of the sessions that I went to that I thought was really interesting, Kendallville, Indiana, they did this Windows to the Past. So they did this whole thing. These are window decals. If you're inside the building, you can see out. But when you come up, they're like that. They worked with their local museum to put these together. And these are not necessarily stories of their most famous people. They're stories of their everyday people that did extraordinary things. So it was really interesting. Of course, as we all said, and someone who was sitting next to me in the session raised their hand and said, I'm sorry, your businesses covered their windows for how long? They're like, yeah, they've been up a couple years. We're all like, no.
What?
So my first thought, and I said this to Jenna and Taylor, I said, we need to talk to our friends at the Pollinators because they have that really nice decal butterfly on the brick. I think that might be something interesting if we wanted to ever pursue anything like this. Either make them smaller so they're not as like on the window and prohibiting our businesses from using their window space, or we actually put them in interesting places, sides of buildings, things like that. It was really fascinating. They got a grant to do this, but we thought it was a different way to talk about it. And they said they get people all the time, this heritage tourism of people just coming to stand there and read the sign because it's not stories that they would normally know because they were people that had done extraordinary things. The one tip that they did have is working with the museum, pick people that have passed because they made the mistake of picking a few current people and then people had feelings because they knew said people and some of the descriptions they had issues with. So pick people who have moved on.
Oh, dear.
That was their big tip out of this session.
That's good advice.
So we thought that was pretty funny. But I thought this was really interesting. I just love the look of it and the vibe and they did some events around it. It seemed pretty interesting and a different way to interpret history. So our key takeaways, I would say number one, we heard through a lot of sessions about storytelling, incorporating our history, but telling it in new and different ways. We want to work with Pat McCann. He's told me in the past, he's got a lot of other stories. They aren't all, about the Van Hoosens and Lysander Woodward and all that. There's a lot of other cool stories that could be something for us. And then it's about finding people to find their way for their place in our story. What does it mean to them? Where are the places they go to that they're like, oh, I get that. Okay, people that go into, for instance, DeMarco's. There's a lot of stories about the DNC. How do we connect that? Things like that. So it wasn't about the typical historic tours and all that kind of stuff. It was doing it differently, but continuing that storytelling as a core value. Opportunities to create the permanent memory-making locations. I think that's something we have not gotten to yet, and I feel like it really needs to be something that we do because I see a lot of people downtown taking photos on the stairway behind where Nightingale is and some of the other cool walls, but I think we could do better. So, and then last but not least, Mark and the Grand can be the place where we connect. One of the same themes, and I think I mentioned this last year when we did our presentation, is the epidemic of loneliness. That people since COVID, there's still some people that just never got back out there. And, we're part of their clubs and things. They're just kind of, doing their thing. They go to work, they come home, and that's about it. But they do these surveys. They said that, half the people in America feel lonely. Yeah. They blame a lot of it on social media, that people feel like they're connecting because they're doing it through their screen, but the in-person has gone down. And I just feel like everything I kept hearing, I'm like, but we can do that at the Graham. Everybody can find that at the Graham. And so I kind of kept feeling like we are absolutely on the right track from what I heard. at the conference. And, yeah, I'm really excited about where we're going, because I think we really clicked some boxes that we're on the right path. And that's my very brief presentation of Philadelphia. There it is.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for that. Any questions for our director as to,
Well, I mean, like, just ideas, like, I feel like we have a lot of brick walls in the alleyways, and even like along, you know, Lytle's there. You know, there's a lot of places, you don't have to cover windows up, you could just,
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we said. I wouldn't dare ask a merchant to let me cover their whole window for 2 or 3 years.
No.
What?
And that, you can get, the one I got is removable, because they did have to remove it. So it does, yeah, it's permanent.
But it stays
and-
really
and it
nice.
stayed vibrant.
Yeah, I look at it every day when I park, and it stays really nice. Yeah.
I think it would be cool to have a 3D bumblebees and butterflies for the pollinators.
Well, I didn't ask her to say that.
You paid her, though. You paid her.
No ants, no spiders, but I can do
I
butterflies.
wasn't lobbying for ants, but ants are our friends too.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, those
They have their role.
pollinators.
If they're ants.
well, I had to do a double take, I'll admit, when I saw that picture, 'cause it said South Street. I thought it was the skate, I'm like, wait.
Oh, yeah. That was in
Yeah.
the South Street District, which was actually kind of cool. We went down there for a couple days. There was a gentleman who did a session with us that they had a pop-up art market that turned into a permanent art market. And then they had an empty space. They didn't know what to do with it, so they rented, or they bought 45 chairs and opened a little movie theater. It was open for like 18 months. Hilarious story, but I guess that 47 was the number of chairs before they had to be inspected.
Oh, dear.
So they have 45.
Yeah, you gotta,
And all the, but
and
I can tell stories about former council people anytime he has one.
yeah.
Are they dead?
Well, I was thinking about,
Are they dead?
I was thinking about a statue of Nick on City Hall.
yeah.
That's really
All right, well, again, this investment that is made in sending you guys on these junkets, it's not a party, let's go, woo. You guys come back every single time with really great ideas, and it either gives us comfort and guidance that the track that we're on is a good track, which it sounds like this one was, and/or you come back with some really cool ideas. And this is always a fantastic investment, and I look forward to this. You guys doing it every year.
Awesome.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I would love to hear from the rest of the board as well on their ideas and feedback, but as Christy knows, I'm very passionate about art, and one of the things I'm very excited to get to is this art master plan and this Love Local committee. So can you remind all of us who is on the Love Local Art Committee?
Yep, actually, that was gonna be part of my,
Oh.
report, because, we just met again on Monday. We've been meeting monthly since, we got the go-ahead in February to get back together. So, currently, as it stands, the steering committee is myself, Jenna Taylor, Sean Hayes from Paint Creek Center for the Arts, Tekla Rhodes, who is a local artist as well as being on Paint Creek Center for the Arts Board, and Shelley Tishka, who's the director of Paint a Miracle over at the Western Knitting Mill. So, when we met the first time, kind of level set with them about what we talked at goals and objectives, that, short-term goal, we gotta work on the mural that's gonna be a part of the grant, because that needs to get going, and so we're working on that. But secondarily, about the city art plan and what that looks like. And so we started tackling first the short term, because we wanna get the mural moving.
Yeah.
So when we met Monday, we had gotten a lot of material about how we wanna do the call for artists, because obviously it's a big mural, you want a professional, this can't be some people just throwing it together. So we put together the whole process. Taylor is working on, similar to what we did for the Vest Pocket Park rehab, to get some mood boards going, some tone, to see if people are thinking, are we thinking historic, are we thinking abstract, like doing a yin and yang kind of thing, to get that all together. We're gonna put that into a package and then bring it back before this group to review what we're thinking and what we're looking at, and then get it out there to start getting concepts and bids back in for that. With the city plan, the city art plan, our next step with that, everybody's homework was to go back and we're creating a master list of organizations in the greater Rochester area that touch art in some way, whether they have public art, they engage with art, or they're a full-on, like, Paint Creek, that art is their business. Putting together that list, and then we are going to start going out to those businesses, whether we try to get them all together at one time, talk to them about what we're doing, get input, things like that. Or if we're gonna do a Zoom call with everybody, I guess it depends on how deep the list is and how far we go. The other part of that is putting together, I think one of the end goals that, I think that Bob had brought up, that was already on our radar, was creating this art walk, so that we know where all these things are, because like, for instance, the library, they have art inside the library, they have art outside of the library. I don't know that they're in the business of looking for some new art, they might be, but even if they're not, we wanna catalog all those things, because I think there's a lot more art that exists here than you might realize. Doesn't mean we don't need more, because we always love more, things like that. In addition to all of those things, then we are already looking at, okay, then what comes next beyond that? We do all that, then how are we gonna touch the public? And so we were already talking about doing what we like to call dotmocracy, where we kind of like what we did at the visioning session, where we have the map and say, okay, where would you like to see art? And we're gonna have like 3 questions on boards. We're talking about having a tent set up at Farmers Market one time this season, at the Makers Market in June, and then possibly a third opportunity, so that we can get some on the street input of what people are looking for, and then doing the online surveys again, like success with the Instagram and the texting service through to the SurveyMonkey, where we got 3,000 over a weekend. So that's kind of where we are. Our plan is to come back to you guys probably in May, and then you'll start seeing us probably every month with an update of where we're going, what we're doing. And I think the committee will expand as we start to identify partners and see who's interested, who just wants to have their name on the list and informed and things like that. I City Beautiful is obviously on our list, making sure that we're incorporating all of the city opportunities that are a part of that, and then kind of casting a little bit wider net to places you might not think of, because there's a lot of people that have art projects, like Shelley Tishka was saying, for Painted Miracles. Should you be shocked the amount of people that come through here that you wouldn't think are involved in art? So I think we're gonna be pleasantly surprised how many people wanna get on board with this. So we're rolling.
Cool, very exciting, thank you.
So that's where we are right now, but you'll be seeing a lot more of us.
Well, since you're already in the middle of your update, keep going.
Hey, yeah, the only other thing that I would mention on here is that the Main Street main event, like Nancy had already emailed me because she saw this invite. If you're interested in attending, just email me. We're gonna get some free tickets. So that's what I'm telling everybody, don't register, just tell me you wanna come, and then I'll take care of everything, so.
When is that?
That
June
is
12th.
June 12th, it's in your packet. It's at the Roxy, so very short commute for everyone.
Love
June
staying
12th
in
is a
district.
Thursday night, 6 to 9 p.m. So if you are interested, it's usually heavy appetizers, they give away awards. I don't know who's keynoting this year, but it's 25th, and usually they have people, they always have a theme, and I've never partaken. But this year, the theme, they're asking people to wear black or silver. I got it. So we're all good. So that'll be fun. The other thing, going back to the farmer's market, on Tuesday morning, we held our vendor orientation at the new space. Of course, it rained and snowed at the same time, but that was great. So we had everybody at the studio. We had boards up of the Graham, and we're able to talk to all the vendors about that. They are super excited. Of course, the first question is, how do I get on this for inside? You know, that kind of thing. So. And then we had the bigger farmers like, no, I'm good outside, don't worry about that. So Taylor has been recruiting because the upper lot is bigger than the old lot. So you'll be seeing, depending on the day, anywhere from 12 to 15 new vendors. We've also opened up opportunities. Usually we have space for one downtown business to be able to be there. Depending on the week, you may see 2 or 3 downtown businesses there having a space as well. We've been working, the city, police department, DPW, everybody's been great helping us figure out all the things. You'll notice the wash hut already moved over there. Our picnic tables from the Depot Plaza that we're not a part of anymore have moved over there. The creepy bike lockers are gone. Apparently, Nick, you shared with me, somebody was sleeping in one. So not great. So those are gone now.
Good.
Don't know where they went, don't care. So we have picnic tables there. Working with the food trucks, figuring all that out. If anyone saw us out there the other day, Jason from DPW brought the largest pickup truck and trailer he could find to see how big our maximum is of getting trucks in there. So we gave those dimensions to all of our farmers that have the big trucks. If anybody wants to have some fun, next Monday morning at 8 a.m., we're meeting some farmers out there that we're gonna play Can You Turn the Truck? It's gonna be great.
I'll bring mine.
Yes.
There you
Yeah, I
go.
was gonna say, I would just have everybody just get out, let Ben pull you in, and we're fine.
Yes.
So it should be interesting, but I I can't say how overwhelmingly positive the farmers are. They're so excited about the new project, they're grateful. Really grateful. Their big thing is they feel like they believe in us. They told us that many of them, this is their most profitable market that they do. And they are excited, even though we're moving, they know that we're gonna take care of them and promote the heck out of it and make sure everybody knows where to go. So it was overall, we all felt really positive about it, because I mean, picking up a market after 25 years and moving it, even though it's a block and a half, it's different and it's an adjustment. And
And no
so,
matter how hard you try, people are gonna see, where the hell did it go? Do you guys?
How come you didn't tell us?
Right.
yes, so Taylor's already started that. It's all over the magazine. You'll start seeing banners go up on the parking deck, next week,
Oh, good, okay.
letting people know all that. But, yeah, but we are been in constant competition or communication with the farmers and the new vendors.
Got it.
And, you'll see some new things too. We've got some,
No good deed goes unpunished.
yes, Vintage Pie Company. We got some fun stuff coming. Yeah,
Daddy
so
did
we're
like
excited.
that.
Yep,
All right, very good. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay, very good. Events and marketing, that was all it?
It's all sort of together. Yeah,
gotcha.
deck art, those decks are starting to come in.
Yep.
We usually get about 100 in the next 8 days, and the last 2 days, we get the other 400.
So I,
It's great.
just quick aside, so I was up at our, I've got a family farm just west of Mount Pleasant, and I was going through some stuff, and I found a couple of the kids' decks from the first year that they did the decks. And, you know, my kids are in their 20s now, and they were like, 8, 10, and it just was super cute to have that. So that was a good find. So you never really understand the importance of something until you find that kind of stuff, right? So, all right, very good on that. Financial report is in your packet. If there's any questions for the director or myself, feel free to reach out to us. Biz dev? Nothing? Nothing? Got it?
No, we had a meeting today, business development.
Oh,
Sorry.
Sorry.
I know, it's like,
We
I
just did
just have
this.
to get the right meeting, right? You know something? Let's see, this stuff. Okay, here we go. Well, we talked about Solaronics today. We talked about what's going to go on there. Talked about the elevator and that they're going to need 4 more months to do the underground. We talked about the new business coming in town someplace. It's going to be an English pub. We talked about some things from Dinosaur Hill. Make sure for.
Nick was giving up, he gives updates of all the developments in the city.
Yeah.
So he was just talking about everything that's been happening around the city and developments and things like that.
Oh,
So-
I see, that's what,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yes,
I was
yes.
like.
It was the
okay.
Nick report.
It was the Nick report. So the English pub is where Smith Jewelers
oh,
was.
fun, excellent.
And it's going to be very healthy, too.
Nope, that's the organic breakfast place. That's
Oh.
I'm looking for bangers and mash, man. You can't do that to me.
I think they aren't doing food at the English pub. I think they're just doing, at the English pub, just food, just beverage. Are they doing food? Oh, they're doing food too? Okay.
Okay, then we have the Business Development Annual Meeting Monday, September 29th, and we're most likely going to have it at,
Chief Financial, I had to go
Chief
measure their
Financial.
space because, yeah, we need round tables. They don't have those, so I had to go measure
Yeah, we
that.
gotta figure out state city, so we.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, when yours is, so we'll go with whatever you do, then we'll move if we're too
okay,
close.
then we got the Downtown Holiday Expo, downtown Rochester, Monday, November 12th, and it's going to be 3/4 of the space we had before.
It'll be the same as it's been the last couple of years. They actually
Okay,
released
that's
that
great.
quarter.
It'd be fun if it was at the Graham,
Huh?
It would be fun, wouldn't it?
just saying. I don't know.
I'm-
No pressure, we'll see.
I don't think I could fit them all in there, but I sure would try.
Yeah.
But, yes, but I want it, trust me. Once that building gets open,
Katie
We're
bar
going to
at
have
the
a
door.
couple things that'll go on there, that's for sure.
yep.
And then we talked about the Main Street Oakland County Small Business Consulting Updates, which are free 45-minute sessions, and you have to schedule those, which will be fun. And we talked about some opens and closings, and that's about it. Anything I missed?
Nope, the small business consulting, we sent the email out yesterday. I only have one of the visits left right now, but Eric said that he would schedule more, but this is another free service we get through our position with Waste Oakland County.
And just another reason to show the things that we do is value add for the merchants and the businesses in the district, so. Site, anything other than the Graham?
Just waiting on the numbers, and we still have to get together on the pocket parks.
Yep.
Like that, I like to think today with the love and the picture frame.
Yeah.
Cause I go through town, I see people taking pictures you know, at the brunch house, the people walking in town, they were taking pictures. So that's something we could just put in one of those.
Love local,
Yeah, love local. I saw that love. I said, that's a great idea.
Love local.
Love local.
love, but go love local.
Well, as long as we get bocce, I'm good, so, all right?
And we were like, the closer when you got to Rocky, they wanted to, yo.
Yo, I like it, yeah, all right, that's hilarious. All right, very good. So, all in all, great, meeting, and then, again, thanking, council for their indulgence, and, the next thing on our agenda is going to be the receipt of the bids, and fingers crossed that, onward and upward, we're still doing it anyway, we're gonna figure it out, but, yeah, so everybody seems to be in a positive motion. So other than that, any other questions or comments in general?
Has anybody here ever done like the City Institute tours in Detroit?
I have.
They're wonderful.
They are great.
Yeah, Taylor does those all the time. She's a big Detroit girl. She likes
I
to
travel
do
everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere.
I mean,
do
I
all
don't-
the tours.
I mean, that's a business. I don't know that, if we could do something like that, just because
I say we
the
get an
the things
OPC
that you
bus
learn
and
on those
some,
tours is so neat. It's not just, it's not the everyday stuff. They tell you like some behind the story, some going deeper and going more, local and, like you said, Pat knows all that stuff, so if there's a way to make that happen, that would be really cool.
Not a OPC bus, but there's a business downtown that has recently procured a trolley that they're going to be using and has offered it to us for our use.
Oh, dear.
Trolley is amazing.
Is it?
It's behind a building called the Roxy.
I
Oh.
guess.
I
It
really
is an
wasn't gonna say that
amazing thing.
publicly because I don't think he was offering it to everybody. He
Yeah.
offered it to us.
All right.
Like a trolley during the Big Bright Light Show?
I think he's gonna do that, but he had offered if we had some ideas that we might want to use the.
Is this like a pedal pub trolley thing, or is this a vehicle?
It's a bus, it's a bus.
Okay.
Trolley.
Looks like an English bus, I would imagine, something along those lines.
Can we trolley Oakland University students over?
I don't think it's a daily thing. I think he was thinking like a once
Yeah.
kind of thing. But they have the smart bus because it goes to OU.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
They do, they've been using it.
Yeah.
all right, very
I've been
good.
seeing more people at the bus stops up and down Walton. It's starting to be a
It's
few
starting.
Yeah, no,
people.
it'll, everything, it takes a while, and then people sort of figure it out. All right, any other things before we call this? Meeting adjourned, thank you.